What is going on, guys? FaZe Rockstar here, and last night this year's FaZe 5 Top 20 was announced on Twitter, and Seabass kept us on the edge of our seats once again by only naming one person every 2 minutes on FaZeClan's Twitter for this year's Top 20. And this is our list for this year, and honestly, I do not know how only 5 people is going to be selected from this list. You know, the amount of talent here is unreal, and I just know that these next couple of weeks are going to be absolutely insane to see who the next 5 to actually be recruited to FaZe is going to be. And I feel for Seabass and Banks for trying to select out of this group of crazy talented players, man. It is going to be insane to see how crazy these next responses are going to be. I know it's going to be a little different probably for this year than what it was last year for this top 20. Last year we simply had 1 week to record for clips, but this year, as you guys saw from the last response to the top 100, it was a little different. You know, they had to incorporate a skit into their responses, so we're obviously looking for more personality this year. And all of these players actually, showcase what they could bring to FaZe, and that is why they are in this year's top 20. So what I decided to do is go through and try and figure out a little bit more about each player and let you guys sort of see a little more about each player as well, and just get an idea of who you guys are going to be picking and voting for to join FaZe this year. So obviously we have 20 players, and of those 20 players, 13 are snipers, 6 are trickshotters, and then you have the Mark J, who does his thing with the red guns and pretty much whatever he wants to do. So looking back at last year's top 20, this is actually very interesting because last year there was actually 11 trickshotters and 9 snipers. So the ratio this year is obviously a lot different. I don't know if it's because of the recent, with the trick shots, a lot of people getting caught faking clips and setting up and all that stuff. It could be they could be a little more careful this year with who they're selecting, and maybe they did that. I'm not sure. But, having 12 snipers in this is obviously going to make it a lot more difficult to select. Probably only 3 snipers, I'm guessing, would be the most selected this year. Probably 3 snipers and 2 trick shotters to keep it, even. Trying to, keep it even with the roster on FaZe. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see who's going to get selected here. So the next thing I looked at was sub count on each player's channel to sort of see how wide of a range of subs we actually had this year in the challenge. And this was very interesting because we had a very wide range between the least subscribed player and the most subscribed player. So this year there's actually 3 players with over 100,000 subscribers, and those guys are D Almighty, the Agony Twins, and the Mark of J. And D Almighty actually has 107,000 subscribers, the Agony Twins have 207,000 subscribers, and the Mark of J has 343,000 subscribers. He's coming in on top with the most subs in this challenge this year. So this group of guys you're looking at, all of these guys have over 10,000 subscribers, and I thought this was pretty crazy because there's 13 out of the 20 players that have 10K subs in this year's top 20. That was not the case at all last year in the top 20. I think I barely had 10K subs when the top 20 was announced last year, and by the time my introducing went up on FaZe, I had around 17,000 subs. So it just goes to show how much talent is in this year's top 20 to have 13 out of the 20 players with 10K subs, and a couple of these guys on the verge of 10K subs. So it's definitely gonna be tough to pick out of this group. And as for the range of how low the lowest sub count to the highest sub count, Volky and Vaven both had 2.2K, so they actually came in at the bottom with 2.2K, and the Mark of J, of course, has the most with 343,000. So there's your sub range, 2.2K to 343,000. So this year there's actually 2 players in the top 20 that was also in last year's top 20, and those 2 players are Dirty and Super. And they're both really insane players, and I'm glad to see these guys back in the top 20 this year. They definitely deserve it. They proved that they were crazy good players last year, and they both made it to the top 20. So definitely glad to see you guys back this year and going hard once again. And there was also 2 other players that was in the top 100 last year, and those 2 players are Kitty and Nicarican. So I'm glad to see you guys moving on up to the top 20. Best of luck to you guys. Alright, so let's take a look at last year's top 20. Now, if you look at this list, there are actually a lot of familiar names here, and that is because 10 out of these 20 players have been a part of FaZe. And obviously, 5 of these players, including myself, we got in off of last year's FaZe 5. That is me, Gwit, Bozzy, Hateful, and Tito. Obviously, Tito has been kicked since last year's FaZe 5. But just look at Adapt, Carl, Linksy, Chaos, and Sully. They are all part of FaZe now, and they were in last year's top 20. It just goes to show for you guys this year, obviously 15 of you aren't going to make it. So just do not give up. And you see obviously 5 people have made it from last year's top 20 that did not win the FaZe 5 last year. So looking at this list, I can already tell you that even though 5 of these guys are going to get picked up for this year's FaZe 5, at some point, more than 5 people on this list will be a part of FaZe, and it will not be long after the FaZe 5 is announced. There's just way too much talent in this year's top 20, and it's going to be so tough to pick only 5 of these guys. But even though 5 of you will be a part of FaZe in the next week or so, probably less than 2 weeks now, because Anaheim is coming up very quickly. Even though you 5 will be a part of FaZe, you other 15 guys, do not give up. Please do not give up, because you're the top 15 after those 5 are picked to be, the next guys to get into FaZe. You are the ones that Seabass and Banks and Apex and all those guys are going to be looking at whenever they are trying to recruit some more people. You guys are at the top right now. Do not give up. Keep grinding it out. And you guys, even though you may not make it right now, you will be a part of FaZe at one point. I promise you that. There's just way too much talent here, guys. Right now, I do have a few favorites, I'll be honest, but I'm not going to name them on here. I'm going to keep them a little secret until the FaZe 5 is actually announced, and name my favorites before and after they are announced to see if I was close. I may announce it before on Twitter or something, maybe right as it's getting ready to come out. But we will see how that goes when it gets here, guys. But hopefully you all enjoyed this video. This was a lot of fun to make, a lot of fun to look up these guys and see who they actually are a little bit more and figure out what we have this year going on in the top 20. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I may do something else like this later on as the top 20 responses come out. I do not know what they are yet. They're definitely going to be something different. But once I get some more details on that and start seeing some more stuff about it, I may make another video. But once again, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, and I will talk to you later.